Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, and get yourselves ready. It's time for our biggest video of the week. We've got a whole new S tier after a massive OTA. In addition to two new S tier decks, there's a hidden S tier deck in the weekend mission stuff at the end of the video. We've got a ton to get through. We're going to kick this off by going over the OTA very quickly for anyone who missed it. If you want longer analysis in OTA specific decks, we did a second video yesterday that covers that. We're going to kick it off with Sam Wilson, who becomes a 2-2, going down from a 2-3. Nothing else has changed about him. This is probably the appropriate place for the card. He's still very strong. He's still going to be in almost all the same decks, but he was a little bit overpowered where he was, being one of the best cards in the game. I still think he's one of the best cards in the game, but now he's going to feel a little fairer and a little worse to play late. I like this change. Scream goes from a 2-2 to a 2-1. This largely means that you can't hide her behind Sam's shield, and she'll still be Red Guardian. She still scales +4 for move, which is absolutely massive. That lets her get up to, it used to let her get up to a 318. A 317 is still pretty good. She can still become a 2-9 with 2 moves. She's still going to be incredible. But there is new broken stuff to do, so everyone's going to forget about her. She's going to disappear from the meta for a little bit. At some point, people will remember exactly how good she is, and she will be back with a Storm because this is still one of the best cards in the game. However, I do think, and this is a hot take, I'm aware it's only been a little bit since the OTA, I think Captain Carter is very likely to be the very best card in Marvel Snap right now. I think she's got 2 homes. Both of those homes are going to be really S tier. She is going to be insane. She is now a 3-2, which means, yes, she works with Silver Surfer, but also she works with Moonstone. Both of those synergies are through the roof powerful. I can't believe they did this, especially because there's no OTA until the end of next month, so it'll be a while for us to deal with this impact. Infinity Ultron, as advertised, has become a 5-8. This is mostly important in the Hella list that we're going to take a look at. Outside of that, I think the card is okay. It makes the list, but it's at the bottom of the list. It's in the same tier as a lot of the honorable mention-y stuff, but it is good to see this card get better. Toxin becomes a 2-2. That's nice. I'm happy you did that. I have a bounce day coming on Sunday. We'll do a bunch of bounce decks. Toxin's in those decks. They're happy to have an extra power. This is now basically Carnage in power, right? It's a 2-8. That's fine. It's a big old Shadow King target at that point. I don't, again, like it's fine. Having that extra power for move and bounce move is fine. The spider that Penny Parker makes becomes a 3-4. That means that I'm playing 5 for 7 and +1 energy. I don't love that deal. I still think this needs something. The deal on this card is just off. It doesn't work the way it wants to. I can play 2 and get 7 from Sam Wilson, but I gotta play 5 and get 7 from Penny Parker with Spider. No, thank you. Fastos becomes a 3-4. I think that's pretty damn good. Uh, Fastos is not an amazing card. It's not one of the best cards in the game, but it is a fine card. It is an effective card in Marvel Snap, one that you're perfectly happy to run in the decks that he wants to go in. He's not a good stuff card. He's not going to go in every deck, but the hand buff decks, the little extra Phoenix Force decks that want him, they're happy to have an extra power, and this good card stays good, with while getting a little better. Rhino, meanwhile, gets a complete redesign. You love to see it. People that wanted Rhino to be a 3-4 or 3-5 with his old ability, that was never going to happen. Second Dinner wants to consistently understat location changing abilities because they want locations to be an important part of the game. If you can just get rid of them regularly, you do that in almost every deck, and then you lose a lot of the game's flavor and a lot of the game's variance. Rhino is therefore now a 3-6, really, really top-notch stats, with a negative on reveal, add a rock to your side of this location. This is a downside that's easily mitigated by using a card like Viper, by using the new card Strange Supreme, and other things. 3-6 is good enough stats to be worth it. It remains to be seen if this is more like a not White Widow, a White Queen, or a Adam Warlock change where it looks really, really impactful right away. But then once we've played with a little bit, we realize that this card still really isn't worth it. But hey, a new card to test with, a new card to play with when we're going to have a month to really mess around with, I'm all for it. I do think this Rhino change is ultimately a positive. It helps protect against Red Guard. It's got some real juice to it. It's got some real potential. Finally, Toxie was inadvertently able to hit skills. Now she doesn't do that. Great. Now she's a bad card that isn't slightly worse if you, for some reason, run her with Agamotto. Good for you, Toxie. Good for you. All right, our S tier decks. We're going to go over 4 decks quickly. The first of these is Dara's Thanos list. We've finally decided that we have to separate the ongoing Thanos and the control Thanos. We just have to. We don't have a choice. They run like three of the same damn cars at this point. There's no point in pretending they're the same list. They belong in their individual spots, and Strange Supreme has 1,000% pushed this version of this deck into the S tier. Cool. So Strange Supreme is fundamentally, when played on turn 2, a 2/12. If played on turn 3, he's a 2/10. All the other power is power that was already on the board. Good? 2/10, 2/12 is still really great. We spent a long time with Sam Wilson as a 2/8, yelling about how strong that was, how much synergy that has. Strange Supreme has the unclog synergy, has the concentrate power into one lane to be able to really, really threaten it, chase your opponents off it unless they think they have a counter ability. It's got all that good stuff going for it while also being well ahead of rate just as a regular card. So Strange Supreme is very good in Thanos. This list is otherwise just the control list. It's running a lot of control pieces in Shadow King, Cosmo, Red Guardian, and Shang-Chi, along with Eliath, in order to win games of Snap. Dara made this list. This is a list that's updated from some other players, basically adding Cosmo and Strange Supreme. But the first person to put this exact version together was Dara. So twitch.tv/DaraJan. He's one of Marvel Snap's biggest streamers. This deck needs Thanos, Strange Supreme, and Wiccan. Mockingbird and Goliath can be Iron Man and Sasquatch. Sam and Iron Patriot can be Gorgon, Loki, Scarlet Witch, so on. And Red Guardian and Copycat can be Morbius, Rogue, and Negasonic. Zombies Go Nom Nom has a version of this list. We covered it in detail in yesterday's video, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail today. I'm not sure which version is better. I do think that this list would benefit from running Shadow King, probably over Iron Patriot, but outside of that, I think the lists are very, very comparable in terms of power and ability in Marvel Snap. So I don't think that there's a significant reason if you have access to this list to run the previous list. It's just I covered this yesterday and I don't want to cover the same thing 2 days in a row. Again, I think that these lists are extremely comparable. I have no idea which is better. They're very, very close in win rate and everything else. As far as the Dara list goes, first you have the Thanos Stones, which are basically your Strange Supreme food. They draw you cards, which is extremely powerful. Shadow King is your late game counter. There's a lot of Surfer around right now with the buff to Captain Carter. There's a lot of Strange Supreme right now as he's the new card. Shadow King giving you a nice cheap way to win either of those is very strong. Iron Patriot can create Strange Supreme food. It also gives you potentially a very cheap and powerful play. Sam Wilson is a 2/2 now. Fair warning. The sites haven't updated the way they're showing the cards yet. It takes a day for SnapFan and SnapZone to really update the cards. So you're going to be looking at the old stats. I'll update you as that happens. Is a 2/2 is still worthy of running in the deck. Even if you missed your stones on 1, if you play Stranger Pain on 2, you immediately have a 2/5. That's pretty damn nice. Meanwhile, if you don't see Strange, you're very happy to have your 2/7. Got to get used to saying 2/7, not 2/8, right? Cosmo is amazing on the Strange Supreme lane, and especially in games where that card gets very big. It's also just really good at shutting down opponents. As discussed, Surfer is very common right now. Red Guardian can stop opposing Strange Supremes. It can stop opposing Captain Carters. It goes in a lot of decks right now. It is one of the better cards. Hell, it's got a better chance at hitting Scream than it's ever had. With so many people running very similar good stuffy lists, Copycat has a million good targets and should be a very popular card in a lot of lists. Shang-Chi gets to 12 power. All the cards behind Captain Carter gets a 12 power, and power must be controlled. Wiccan gives you extra energy so that you can play all your control cards and all your other stuff as effectively as you would like to. Eliath works to shut down endgame Cosmos, whether you think they're going to play like a Mystique, whether you think they're going to try and drop a big, like, I don't know, Devil Dino-ish card, um, sorry, name a card, Gore-ish card, having Eliath. There should be a lot of Hela out there right now. Having Eliath and priority stops that. Strange and Mockingbird have some anti-synergy. You're fine with it. You usually play more than one generated card a turn, which is enough to make Mockingbird usually a 3 or 4/9, which is not which is a far cry from the 0/9. But if you don't see Strange, she's still like a 0/9, and that kind of power just belongs in a deck. And of course, Thanos gives you the stones, and is nice to play because he has the specifically the Soul and the Space Stone to be able to be not killed or played in specific locations. Very nice ability to have on demand. This is fundamentally the updated version of the Crazy version. You can find Crazy on Twitch at crazy_IM. We'll talk more about Crazy in the honorable mention section at the end. Turn 1, we want Draw. Turn 2, Strange over Sam, over Iron Patriot, over Draw. And I'll say this right at the start of the video. Strange being written in white means that he is very often going to be a snap condition. He's one of the easiest early snaps we've seen. Iron Patriot being green means he's a snap condition if you get a good card and are going to win that location. Green means conditional snap condition. White means snap it. I'm not going to say that for every single deck unless I have something specific to say. Cosmo on Strange is perfectly fine on 3 if you think they might be dropping a Red Guardian. Um, you can also drop a 2+1. You can drop any of the other 3s as they fit, or you can sometimes even Mockingbird here. If you played a stone on 1, you didn't play Strange on 2, you played another stone, you now have a 3-cost Mockingbird that you can drop on turn 3. Turn 4, if Wiccan goes off, that's a snap. Wiccan, if not 2+2 or earlier stuff with draws. Turn 5 is Thanos or Shang Plus. You can also do Red Guardian or Copycat Plus. And then turn 6, Alioth or Thanos or Shang Plus, and throw Shadow King in as you can on 4 and 5. Props to Dara for putting Strange and Cosmo into this really, really great shell. It's a genuinely top-notch deck. One of the better and more powerful things to be doing in Marvel Snap today. Before we get to the next deck, I'd like you to know that we're doing our 20,000 subscriber streamabration tomorrow. It's going to be on Twitch at twitch.tv/pulseglazer. We're going to play against opponents. We're going to be giving away about $300 in prizes. We've got a ton going on for this. We should be live basically all day, starting at like 12 or 1 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. So if you're interested, Saturday the 26th, please do stop by. I think it's going to be an amazing, amazing show, and hopefully you get some really cool prizes and have a good time hanging out. Everyone who's there always raves about it, so I'll see you there. Next up, we've got the Derek Thanos. This is the standard base ass version. I do think we're going to see an update to this in the next day or two that runs both Captain Carter and Mockingbird because, not Mockingbird, excuse me, that runs both Captain Carter and why am I not remembering this card? Moonstone. There you go. I kept going moon, moon, moon. Captain Carter and Moonstone are going to be in a lot more decks, and I think Thanos will be one of them just because it's too easy not to run. Those two cards together, I fully expect them to find their way in the list. Probably over Kahori and Speed, but I can see it being lots of things. I could also see those cards making Kahori go out for Super Skrull as well, which it was for a little while, and then ongoing sort of went away as this major thing, and Kahori became better. Either way, this list is into tier 1 at this point because it puts out a lot of power and people are no longer really like running as much Killmonger, running as much stuff to meta against it because there's another big bad in the neighborhood. The creator of this list is Derek, who's currently ranked 3 on the Infinite Leaderboard, on the Infinite Leaderboard behind Sizer and Zunes. I believe Sizer is 1 and Zunes is 2. We'll see Sizer's deck in the A tier. This deck needs Thanos, Goliath, and Sam. Wiccan can be Luna, Fastos, or Hope. I was partial to Luna. I think with Fastos buff, he might be worth a look here. Speed can be Captain America. That is a dead even power. And Dazzler can be Strange Supreme, which lets Mockingbird be Iron Man. Cool. That is the Game with Flash version. We covered that 2 days ago on the channel. We're again not going to go over this in great detail because we covered it 2 days ago. Game with Flash X had like an 83% win rate and like 70 games with this. It was absurd how well he did with this list. This list otherwise has a slightly lower win rate than the version without Strange Supreme. I think a lot of that is play pattern, right? My logic here is largely that. I think this version is every bit as good as the previous, but you have to be very careful with how you're placing your cards like Ant-Man in this version of the list. And as you're being very careful with your Ant-Man, you do have to worry about like, oh my god, if I'm going to play an Iron Man here, and then the cards are going to be eaten out of this lane, and that's not going to work. You have to know that, and if you're very good with this list, I think this list is every good as the previous one, if not better. But this one has more room for you to mess yourself up. All right, the cards here are relatively simple. This doesn't do anything super fancy. Ant-Man, Goliath, Dazzler, Speed, Captain America are all ongoing cards that play for far bigger than their cost. Speed ends up like a 3/8, 3/9. Sam, as discussed earlier, is a 2/7. Dazzler can be a 2/8, worst a 2/6. Goliath is like a 2/7, 2/8, 2/9, and Ant-Man is a 1/5. You can further buff these cards using Blue Marvel and Spectrum. Goliath in particular is further buffed by playing more of Thanos' ongoing stones, of which he has several. Kahori, because you're drawing cards, buffs your whole board, while Cosmo is your only real tech card, largely meant to make sure your opponent doesn't ruin your stuff with an Enchantress, although now it is more just being careful for extra stuff, although I think Enchantress might be on a comeback. We'll see in a couple days. Wiccan is very, very important and powerful here, just giving you enough energy to go over the top. Blue Marvel and Spectrum are amplifying your power, and you play so many on reveals here that you're not eating or destroying that Mockingbird is a must. Turn 1, you want Stone. draw over Ant-Man. Turn 2, you want Sam over Goliath over drawing more cards. If you're worried about what draw means, it means play Thanos' stones to draw cards. Turn 3, speed, or you can do some early plays. Cosmo is fine if you must. I tend to like to hold it, but you'll play Cosmo because you have Wiccan. From here on, you're going to Mockingbird as you can. Once again, you can Mockingbird on 3 relatively often with this list. If it's going to get cheaper later, though, feel free to hold it. Cheap and free is better. Turn 4, Wiccan over Kahori over a combo of earlier plays. Wiccan is a snap condition. Mockingbird is conditional. Uh, turn 5, Thanos over Blue Marvel, which is actually not true. As I played the list more, I need to remember to change that on the slide. Blue Marvel over Thanos. If you have Wiccan, you can just play a bunch of stuff. And then Spectrum or Blue Marvel Mockingbird type stuff on turn 6. Also, sometimes just a bunch of cheaper stuff is good enough because everything scales upwards. Beautiful list. Genuinely one of the stronger lists in the game. I think that this earns its place into tier 1. I'm curious to see if the Captain Carter and Moonstone version takes this one out. We are giving away a Captain Carter. We'll be announcing that on Sunday's video. The winner, all you have to do is sub, like, and comment. Every video this week carries a chance to win Captain Carter. One comment on one video this week will get the season pass card. That is suddenly one of the best cards in the game. So if you didn't get it and now you suddenly want it, this is your chance. I'll tell you what comment to leave later this video. For now, just sub and like and help me out. Thanks, appreciate you. Our next tier 1 deck, and this I allow myself one theory craft a video right after the OTA. This is my theory craft of what I think is going to be really great. This is where I want to be with a surfer list right now. So I'm going to run you through what I'm doing. Shadow King should really probably just be Sam. The more I think of it, the more I'm sure of it. But I wanted to try Shadow King because I'm sure Captain Carter is going to be everywhere. All right, so Forge is back in the Surfer list. Well, we'll get to card by card later. What am I doing? Silly, silly me. All right, so this is a very strong list. It is meant to sort of do a lot of things that the meta can't handle and win games. Since I created this, twitch.tv/PulseGlazer, this deck needs both Galacta and Carter. Gorgon can be Sam or Cassandra Nova. It's possible that Shadow King should just be Sam as well. That's Cassandra Nova, sorry. Actual Nova because we're running Killmonger. Cassandra can be Shaw or Gladiator. I know those are high series, sorry. Makari can be Hope or Fastos. Makari basically gives you an extra 3 that's in play. If you need that extra 3, you need Hope or Fastos to get there. I don't want to have to play those on turn 3, hence I'm not running it. And Red Guardian can be Rogue. And also, sorry, Cassandra could also be Rocket and Groot. Heart of the Cards has this Surfer's Backlist. He actually has an updated version of this with the new meta with Captain Carter that we will take a look at in a day or two. But this is the one that he crushed with all week, got back in the top like 15 after thinking Surfer was bad for a while. If you're seeing a lot of expensive stuff, the US Agent Gladiator combo does an amazing job at shutting that down. It's going to depend on your meta if this version is worth it or not. We'll also see how popular Hela gets. I wanted to make sure this one was in the video because this is potentially going to be an answer to one of the potential places the meta may be going forward. I do think that this is a really strong list. Make sure you check out Heart of the Card Snap on Twitch. Zunes, meanwhile, this is one of the decks he's playing. I think cutting Absorb Man for Captain Carter is one of the easiest cuts in the world, and thus this deck could absolutely be on the list. As far as that goes, I do think that I like the other version a little better. I've never really been in love with with Sarah and Surfer, but this is a very powerful list. And if you're going to go Luna into Sarah, then all of a sudden I love Sarah and Surfer. Really strong list. It doesn't have quite enough to do on 3, but adding Captain Carter for Absorb Man does add enough to do on 3. As for my list, here's my thought process. I expect a lot of Thanos and a lot of generated cards because of the new card, um, Strange Supreme. So Gorgon is here. Forge has multiple good targets either on turn 5, and remember I am playing a 2 on turn 5, or just on turn 2. I can on turn 2 happily go Forge into Captain Carter, and I have a 5 power Carter that can be, a 4 power Carter. She becomes a 3/2 now, which can become a 6 power Carter, which is more than enough with Silver Surfer. I'm perfectly happy with that. So I can do that early or later on. I could do something like Forge into Brood or a later Forge into Carter, or just give anything 2 power, basically giving an extra Surfer buff to something. Very happy with that. I am worried about decks that go too tall, in particular Strange Supreme decks that go too tall or opposing Surfers. So I've got Shadow King here. I expect to see a lot of cards and decks that this can stop. I am generally speaking playing this on turn 5. So it's really strong, but it's not always going to be amazing. Here, again, this should probably just be Sam Wilson, but I want to try Shadow King and see how it feels. Gorgon is here. Again, Thanos and um, regular Strange Supreme decks are going to be generating cards. Saying you can't play those is very strong. With Thanos everywhere, Cassandra Nova is about a 9 power. 8 or 9 power. On turn 3, I'm perfectly happy to play an 8 or 9 power early. I'm probably not playing it later, but I do want a 3 on 3, and one that solves one of the meta matchups is really good. Also, taking 1 power away from Captain Carter that could be drawn later is really good. That kind of thing works for me. Brood is in every Surfer deck. It's amazing. It automatically goes behind Carter. It becomes 15 with Galacta. It becomes 12 with Surfer, or Forge. It's one of the best cards in the game. Juggernaut is how I'm trying to steal lanes. If people are going to be running Captain Carter, if they can't fill every spot, I'm going to use Juggernaut to try and knock that shit off and be able to win games and steal them. So that's fundamentally what this card is here for. It's also solid against Thanos if I can get that Killmonger going to make sure they don't have enough stones to get in the way. Red Guardian is just an early card answer. Again, we're going to be talking about Carter and Strange Supreme a lot here. So answering Carter and Strange Supreme is Red Guardian's job. Also stomping out an Iron Man and plenty of other powerful things. Red Guardian is just, I think, right now the premier tech card. Makari is a free 4 to 6 power. You love to see it. Uh, Captain Carter, I think, might be the best card in the game right now. I think changing her to a 3/2 is an insane buff that puts her on par with the very best season pass cards we've seen in quite a long time. Uh, I don't know. I think that this is going to end up ultimately a mistake, but that's where we are. And meanwhile, Galacta is amazing for Brood. Everything else it hits is just good. But hey, giving one card a better than Surfer buff is really, really cool. It's also really great with Captain Carter, excuse me. Great with Brood and Carter in particular. If you would like to add Shaw for an extra target for Forge, for Brood, for Surfer, that makes sense to me. But I couldn't find space because I did want 3/2s, because I do want to go 3 and 2 on 5. So Carter should again be completely nuts in Surfer. Turn 1 you pass. Turn 2 is Forge if Carter Brood, Gorgon otherwise. Turn 3 Carter or Cassandra Nova. Carter can be a snap condition, especially if played after Forge. Um, turn 4 Galacta over Red Guardian or 3 drop. You can also Red Guardian on 2 if you think you can get rid of their Strange Supreme. Turn 5 Shadow King or another 2. I just think if you can get a good Shadow King here, you can snap it. And Monger, Red Guardian, Juggernaut, or Brute. Good. You're choosing whichever 3 makes most sense. And then turn 6, last 3, and Surfer. You can occasionally go without playing Surfer, particularly if you've got a Captain Carter going, and Juggernaut slash Killmonger are going to wreck the board, wreck the world. So this is where I want to be for this list. This is untested as of now. I'm sure there's an S tier Surfer. It might not be this exact 12, though. Cool. Next up, please hit that sub button before we get to the next deck. It would really mean the world to me. We're trying to hit 25,000 subs in 2025. We give you the best and most comprehensive Marvel Snap content in the game. We haven't missed a day in over 2 years. If you want the best decks before anyone else in the metagame gets them to you, sub here, like, and comment. Help us out a ton as well. Telling YouTube's algorithm beat the machines that we like, that people like us, and they should show us to more people. So hit that sub, like, and comment, pretty please. Next up, we've got Scream Inspiration Fudge. This is the version of Scream I want to play right now. Scream is now a 2/1, Sam is now a 2/2. Everyone's going to stop playing this deck for a little bit, not because it's significantly worse, but because there's new hotness. There's Captain Carter, there's Strange Supreme. And because this deck lost 2 points in power, those are real changes. Everyone's going to stop playing this for a couple weeks, and then I think this version is going to be great. This version is specifically very, very strong against Thanos. This version is built to rock the face off decks like Thanos that go tall. So if you're worried about Strange Supreme, if that's what your meta is doing, this deck should absolutely beat the crap out of it. However, there is a possibility that the Captain Carter meta takes over. I do think we can run a suite of tech cards and a bunch of stuff in Scream that will beat that deck also. I'm not sure we can beat both. So that's why this is sort of at the bottom of the S tier. But I do believe in Scream. Scream's gonna have to be killed and dragged out before I believe that she's anything less than an S tier card. I think she's the winningest card in the game. The creator of this list is Elephant Fudge, twitch.tv/Elephant Fudge. We recorded a podcast last night with Fudge and Ika talking about the OTA. That should be out Sunday if you're interested in hearing it. This deck needs, we also built 3 decks, which I think went really well. This deck needs Scream and Cannonball. Without any question, those are required. Uncle Ben can be Kingpin or Bob. Sam, Red Guardian can be Iron Patriot, Juggernaut, Rogue, and Rocket and Groot. I am partial right now to Juggernaut. I think Juggernaut would be very good in this list. If you would like a different version of this, Scream Connoisseur is ranked around rank 6 with this. We covered this one last week. If you want a full turn by turn, last Friday's video had only 2 S tier decks, the Zune Surfer and this. Thanos moved up because of Strange Supreme over the course of the week. So this list was the version we covered last week. It's still one of the winningest lists in the game. I'm not as sure how this answers the meta, how this handles the new meta, if it handles it well. And like, let's just say, Carter does not like Hazmat at all, does not like Rocket and Groot at all. So that kind of thing is very frustrating for it. They are filling a lane, so Cannonball seems like it should be strong. This version could be absolutely incredible, but I'm going to need a little bit of time before I'm willing to put it there. Although, again, props to Scream Connoisseur for coming up with this one. All right, this list is crazy strong. Uncle Ben is here because you want a one drop just for your curve purposes, right? And then if you're going to run a one drop, you're running Killmonger, so you don't want that downside. So Killmonger turns it into a 2/4 that moves a card, which will buff Scream, Craven, etc., or make Miles cheaper, all of which are good stuff. So Ben is really good in this list. Scream scales at 4. Almost every scaler that scales at 3 except literally, I think every scaler that scales at 3 except Galacta has basically been taken out of the game. Havoc with a like major downside scales 4, and it like is in a top deck, but it has to be super specifically built around him. Excuse me. I've been talking for hours since the podcast. Scream, however, scales at 4 while doing positive things for your side of the board and being a build around for your deck. I think she's utterly amazing. Scaling at 4 means if you can move something on 3, 4, 5, and 6, let's just say 3, 4, and 5, you get 3 moves, right? That's plus 12 power. You've played a 215, sorry, 213. That's bigger than Strain Supreme. Like, it's just crazy. If you get all 4, you get a 317. You can do all sorts of things with those moves to synergize with other cards. Scream's the best. Craven is a 2/3 that becomes a 2/5 and 2/7 pretty much always in this list. It doesn't usually become much bigger than that, but hey, a 2/3 that becomes a 2/5 and a 2/7 is pretty damn nice. Meanwhile, Sam Wilson helps sort of bridge the gap. It gives you a card that can always move for Miles. It gives you an extra card that can buff Craven. It's just really nice in this list. It's good to have as a card. It can't really protect your screen, but after your first move, it can protect your screen from Red Guardian. It's good to have in this list. Spider-Man is one of those more cards as a 2/4 that's crazy, crazy good stats for a card that can benefit Scream and Craven and help clog your opponent. Killmonger gets rid of Thanos' stones. It gets rid of any bullshit your opponent's doing, and just you playing Killmonger will often stop the opponent from having a very good um, Strange Supreme, which can win you games of Snap. Red Guardian answers problems. We've talked about Red Guardian. You get the idea. Polaris is amazing. You can use it on Craven to give Craven a buff, or you can use it on Scream to give Scream a buff. That'll also make Miles cheaper. It and Spider-Man are the two key Scream cards. Power must be controlled. There's a lot of big shit in the meta. Let's make it go away. Miles is a 1/6 that's incredible stats. You are moving things with Uncle Ben when destroyed, Spider Man, Polaris, and Cannonball, and of course your own move in Captain America Shield. That's 5 triggers for Miles. Great to see it. Lady Deathstrike is very, very good against Thanos. There's a lot of cheaper stuff, especially early in Thanos ongoing when you can get that going, that it will shut down. It'll shut down opposing Luke Cages and other nonsense, and which is again just really good stuff to have. Lady Deathstrike is like a very key tech card here. And then Cannonball is sort of like location Shang-Chi. You can almost always get one lane semi-clogged that you should be able to win through your scalers, and at that point, Cannonball wins another and you win the game. Turn 1, you want Ben. Turn 2, Scream, who is a snap. For the love of God, people need to snap Scream over Sam. Sometimes you'll play Sam before Scream if you have Craven in particular and you're missing Polaris. So keep that in mind. If you don't have an immediate Scream mover, you can drop Sam if you have Craven. Um, turn 3, Polaris if Scream Craven. Craven if Sam. Turn 4, 2+2, which is Spidey. This is usually your Spidey turn, or 3+ Miles. 3+ Miles is perfectly fine. You want to go Red Guardian Miles here. Enjoy yourself after a Polaris. Turn 5, Lady Deathstrike, or 3, Red Guardian Killmonger, +2, Spidey. And then finally, we've got Cannonball, or Shang-Chi, and Miles on the last turn of the game. Chef's Kiss, you're not going to see this list for a while. Have no fear, it's still one of the best things to do in Marvel Snap. Scream's not going anywhere, at least until there's a more serious nerf. Our A tier. Arisham's not in A tier. I say this every week now. The tiers are just whatever card I thought of that was cool when I thought of what letter they went with. Hey, we host regular tournaments on our Discord. All you have to do is join our Discord, link in the description of this video. They're called King of the Hill tournaments. They run like 2-3 hours. They're really, really fun. If you'd ever like to come check it out, come join. Next up, we've got Hella Returns. This is the deck I'm least convinced is an S tier. Now we have a 5/8 Infinity Ultron. That is a very real buff for this list. I think this list is stellar. It's not the easiest thing in the world to play, even though it's Hella. This is like very hard to play Hella. It is Denish's deck. Denish is the Hella main of Marvel Snap. This deck needs both Blink and Corvus. Gore can be Red Hulk or Magneto. Gore is way, way better than Magneto and significantly better than Red Hulk. All the Thanos stuff tends to make Gore really good, but if the ongoing takes over, maybe Red Hulk takes over that spot. Grandmaster can be Gorgon, Iron Patriot, or Cable. Infinity Ultron can be Legion or Iron Man. All right, I do think you're losing a fair amount if you don't have Infinity Ultron. It's really good. So Blade is sort of a mid to late turn play, especially if you've got Corvus. It's your extra get rid of Carter. It's also if you don't draw Corvus, something you'll often do on turn 2 or turn 3 as a way to just get a priority target out. Grandmaster has a crap ton of targets here. You can Grandmaster Blade. It happens sometimes. You can Grandmaster Gambit, especially if there's a really, really key target. I've Grandmastered Corvus when I don't have Hela and just been like, if I draw Hela, I auto win this game. Sometimes you Grandmaster Jubilee for an extra chance at Hela or Blink for an extra chance at Hela. Um, I've Grandmastered Hela. I've used Infinity Ultron Stones to Grandmaster. Any of these are amazing targets for the Great Grandmaster. It is so good in this list. You can, I haven't done it, but you can Grandmaster Ghost Rider, or at least try to, because he's probably going to non-reveal. But there's a ton of great stuff to get with Grandmaster here. Gambit sort of handles a bunch of bullshit. Either it's being brought back from being discarded and then sort of blowing something up at the end of the game, or it's trying to blow something important up early. Either way, it's great. Gambit is a must have. Corvus is probably the most important non Hela card in the deck. You really want to ramp into it. If you have Corvus and not Hela in hand, that's almost always going to be a snap condition. Corvus is so good and so consistent and so strong. Having extra energy in this deck feels like a cheat. It also lets you run Infinity Ultron on the list, which works out way better than it looks like. Jubilation Lee is very good. It gets you the blink, it gets you the blink, it gets you the Hela, it gets the cards that you need at the right time. Be a little careful with it if Gambit and Blade and Corvus are in deck, but outside of that, you're relatively safe. Just cold throwing Jubilees out there. Ghost Rider is how you can win if you discard Hela. Reasonably often, you're going to discard Hela with this list. It is running random discards in Gambit and Corvus. If you can Ghost Rider and hit that Hela, your job then is to Odin that pile, and then you get everything back and you go to town. But sometimes Ghost Rider is just going to be like, oh, I grabbed a Infinite, lovely, or I grabbed an Odin, and then I grabbed another card, and I just have this 20 power lane. And then you've got Gore and other shit like Infinite to try and win another lane. Infinity Ultron has is a 5/8. 5/8 is just good stats to bring back, right? You're not sad to bring a 5/8 back. But the other thing is there's two stones, which means that you have basically a 2/3 chance of seeing one of the good stones. The pull a card from your hand is pretty good because you also have just big stuff stuck in your hand. And the double a on reveal is really good because you can either do that into like a Jubilee. Because remember Corvus, you can do that into a Gambit, do that into a Hela, and then get everything back with Hela. Really great. Blink is your go get Hela card. Very often you're going to end up blinking after Corvus and just trying to, even if you get a Hela early, you're not super sad because you have Odin in the list, so don't feel bad, or Grandmaster. Although Grandmaster Blink when you're trying to Odin can be a little annoying. You do take those chances. You take like every 50/50 with this list. Gore is huge. Infinite is huge. Odin is again here largely for Hela. If you do play Hela earlier, you can drop Hela like on a Corvus, and then you can Odin, rediscard with Corvus, and then retrigger Hela. Very good stuff. Retriggering cards like Gambit and Grandmaster and a million other things are very nice. So this may be an S tier deck. I'm not sure. Turn 1 you pass, turn 2 you pass. You can Blade if you don't have Hela or Corvus in hand. If you have either, do not Blade. Turn 3 Corvus. Then Blade Corvus is a snap. Blade over Grandmaster over Gambit. Sorry, Blade into Grandmaster over Gambit. If you've got two good targets, then turn 4 Blink over Infinity Ultron over Jubilee or Ghost Rider. Turn 5 if you can Hela, you should be snapping over that is the same as 4 or Odin on a pile to get stuff going or Gore. Turn 6 Hela or Odin on Hela or Jubilee or Ghost Rider, and you can also play Jubilee or Ghost Rider with Gambit if you've got 7 energy. Again, Corvus is very important. Or you can Blink to get Hela or Gore. Don't be afraid to Grandmaster off a card and then play Blink if you've got that extra energy. Getting an extra on reveal potential discard and then turning that into Hela is really strong. I'm not sure again that this is not S tier. This is an insanely good and consistent deck that people should be playing a lot more of. Please check out tomorrow's stream, twitch.tv/pulseglazer. I am going to take this evening off from streaming, but I will be live tomorrow, and then I should also be live Sunday. So if you're interested, please twitch.tv/pulseglazer. All right, next up, we got Bounce Move. This is Sizer's deck. If you want this deck, you'll be able to get it next week. We'll talk about that in a minute. This deck puts up as much power as anything, and there's at least some argument it might be the best deck in the game. All the Cosmo everywhere might be pushing it down a little bit, and that this is extremely hard to play, but it is incredibly strong. The creator of this list is Sizer, who you can find at Sizer2654, the number one player on the Infinite Leaderboard. Aranya and Madam Web are needed. There's no Alliath in the list. Sage can be Hulkbuster. Toxin, who is just buffed, is important, but if you must run Falcon, you'll be okay. Toxin is way better, and if you do get Aranya Madam Web, you should probably get Toxin soon after with tokens. Aranya Madam Web can be gotten with spotlights. The patch will come out Tuesday. If you choose not to update, make sure auto updates are off. You will get the very last spotlights they will ever offer. Aranya Madam Web will be in those spotlights. I strongly urge you to get those cards and do this if you have the keys and the ability to do so. As for an alternate version, this is my preferred version. This is Craven is the biggest. I don't think the meta is right for this right now. It was for a little while. I think the meta has sort of pushed this away, but this was a very, very strong version of the list that used Cosmo and Alliath to win games. All right. So your job with this deck, a light just flashed. Your job with this deck is to use Aranya, Ghostbiter, Iron Fist, Madam Web, Doctor Strange to move Vulture, Dagger, and Human Torch. You can copy one of those moved cards when they get big with Frigga, and you can bounce them with Toxin and Beast to try and lose priority. Sage gives you an extra big card to either copy with Frigga, bounce with Beast or Toxin, or just play at the end of the game to try and win. That's it. It seems so easy, but this is so hard to play. All right, this is up to rank 1 with a 64% win rate now. Turn 1, Aranya. Turn 2, Madam Web. Over the second move and Torch. Over Fist for Vulture. There's a lot of Red Guardian. Once you get good with this list, you should snap Madam Web. If they Red Guardian it, you're fine. Just play as if they're always going to Red Guardian the Madam Web. Turn 3, Vulture. Punch with Fist or drop a card on Madam Web. Frigga is fine on a move Torch. Turn 4, Sage, Frigga, or Bounce. Turn 5 is the same as 4, and the big decision you get to make is whether you want to bounce enablers or movers. Your general goal, if you think the opponent's running tech, and it is a very tech-heavy meta, is to use bounce to throw prio, which means you're going to want to bounce your movers. Turn 6 is replay your movers and win. Cards to be wary of, Cosmo, Juggernaut. They can mess your stuff up. Figure out where and how they're going to play those, and you should be able to still win. If everyone was good with this would be nerfed into the ground, but it's really hard to play, so it's still here. It actually got a buff, Toxins to 2-2. Our season pass question is very simply, what's the best deck I missed? I'm doing honorable mentions at the very end as a reminder. All right, Roram's Toxic Evo is still here. I'm not sure this is quite as good, and I do think that Laufey might right now want to go back to being Man-Thing in this list, which means Grandmaster might want to be Scorpion. Why those changes, you might ask? Well, the logic behind those changes is that Shadow King is very popular right now, and Laufey is a target for Shadow King, while Scorpion is going to hit things that aren't going to all end up in one lane, right? Grandmaster being Laufey being Grandmaster's best target, and Man Thing can't be hit by Shadow King while Laufey can. So if you want to make those two changes, feel free. Outside of that, I'm pretty sure this list is still incredible and going to win a lot of cubes, even with the -1 nerf to Sam. You can find the creator of this list at twitch.tv/RoramPlays. He's in fact who I rated tonight. Awesome person, awesome streamer. He came up with a really, really great bounce deck that will be Sunday's video. It was going to be Saturday, but we got to talk about a different deck Saturday. This deck needs Evo, Ajax, Rocket Groot, and Sam. If you don't have Laufey, run Man-Thing. That might just be better right now. Sable and Grandmaster, we're looking Scorpion, Bob, and Iceman. And Cass can be Juggernaut. I might be running Juggernaut right now. All right. Also, Man-Thing's going to be really, really good into Captain Carter. That's worth knowing too. All right, Ajax Affliction from Blue Tears is still a really strong list. This is another version of the list that you can run with. Once more, Grandmaster Laufey, we're looking now at Scorpion and Man-Thing potentially over them. It's worth considering, keeping in mind. You can still try Grandmaster and Laufey. I'm just trying to look forward instead of backward a little bit. All right, cards here. Sable is nice. It's a 1/4 most of the time. If you don't have Cassandra or Laufey, you can Grandmaster it because That's really good. Hazmat is the play on turn 5, 90% of the time. It makes your Abomination free and makes your Ajax huge. It also, yeah, that's all it does, sorry. Grandmaster is again largely here for Laufey or Cassandra Nova. Doubling Cassandra Nova is incredibly strong. Doubling Laufey is freaking lane winning. Remember, though, that Shadow King does exist right now. Captain America gives you a 2/7. 2/7 is nice. It also lets you play Miles on demand, which is very important. Cassandra Nova is very good in general because it gives negative stuff, which is good for the Ajax and Abomination, as discussed. But the other thing Cassandra Nova does in this list that's really, really good is stomp on Thanos and Arishem. Thanos in particular, having a 3/9 is nice. Red Guardian, again, we've talked about all things Red Guardian hits in every list. You get the idea. Rocket and Groot gives you a mover for Miles Morales and negative power for Ajax. It is a 3/2 now. Sorry, I didn't update the list, but it's perfectly fine. It still goes in the list because it has those two uses. Miles, we've talked about 1/6 good. You want to play that on the last turn of the game. On the last turn of the game, your goal is to go Ajax, Abomination, and Miles. That is absurdly powerful and wins games. High Evolutionary is the cost to do business for Abomination, but is otherwise good, and Ajax is just the biggest damn thing. This one still has one of the top win rates. We'll see if it comes down. I again expect the deck to be altered and still be really great. I think, again, Man Thing will be super strong right now. Turn 1, you want Sable. Turn 2, Sam over Sable. You can also Grandmaster that Sable. Turn 3 is Rock and Groot over Cass, pending opponent. Turn 4, Laufey. Laufey can be a snap if you're able to get a really full location, especially if you can get a full location and then Grandmaster it. Over 3 over Evo. Turn 5, 2/3, Hazmat or Grandmaster, Rocket and Groot or Red Guardian, plus or 2/2, Hazmat and Grandmaster. Some combination of those cards. Turn 6, Ajax Abomination of Miles, and you should have snapped before you get that. But if you drew one of them last turn, you can snap on it then if you feel like being a boomer. Chef's Kiss, props to Roram. This is a list that is developed from a Cougar list as well. Cougar being a top player who is in the middle of finals and will be streaming once those are done, so really excited for that. The B tier. Zune's small cards. I'm not sure how this handles the new meta at all. I do think that we need another card. It's probably Gorgon for US Agent in my head. We were running Sam for a little while. I think Gorgon's going to be a little better right now. But this list, I think, has taken a fairly big hit because I'm not sure it goes over the top of things nearly as well as it used to. It can, right? Like, it's still got some play. Like, Cassandra Nova is really great into Thanos, for example. Um, but a lot more Shadow King does leave me a little bit worried. This is Zune's / Chamo's version, twitch.tv / Chamo92. Athena and Agent Venom are your required cards. Nico can be Adam Warlock. US Agent can be Sam Wilson or Gorgon. Cassandra Nova can be one of the 2 drops, Mobius, Cosmo. Sage can be Wolfsbane. And Red Guardian should be Cosmo, although, like, I'm scared about that Shadow King, but I need Red Guardian for the opposing Strange Supreme and the opposing Captain Carter, and I'm not sure how to do it. Maybe Juggernaut goes. But Juggernaut's so good for Captain Carter right now, but not really good against Thanos. And that's why I'm struggling a little with the deck. It's just got one too many like pressure points for it, and so it's fallen down to B tier. I bet you this still has a really high win rate because you're not going to see the best stuff every game, but it's taken a hit against the best stuff. This is now rank 2, not rank 1. Turn 1, Kitty or Bast, if you and you only Bast if you have Hood and a bunch of other good targets, plus no Agent Venom. 2 Agent Venom over Athena over 2/1s. Turn 3, Cass or 1/2, and that's Athena play. Turn 4, 2/2. If you and you're gonna have to play enough to get like a good heuristic for when you play Havoc on 4 versus 5. Havoc is almost always played on 4 or 5 if you have it. So 2/2, sometimes Havoc, or 1/3, Cass and Sage. If you can copy Sage, hell to the yeah. You really, really, really want to copy Sage or Cassandra. That's a snap. Turn 5, Sage, Red Guardian, or Juggernaut. With Demon or Hood, Havoc or US Agent. And then turn 6 is the same thing as 5. You just play whatever else you can that makes sense and wins the game. Nico is trying to destroy or demon Hood, Bastard Agent Venom. Nico is trying to copy Sage, Cassandra, or Demon. This is still a really great list. I don't know. It has lost fundamentally nothing except the meta has shifted around it and made it a little more difficult to play. We have a Patreon. I only advertise this once a week. It is patreon.com/snapjudgments. In it, we host a major league. In it, you can get early access to videos. In it, at a high enough tier, you can get thanks on every video and exclusive videos. If those sound good to you, please check out patreon.com/snapjudgments. You can even join on the free tier where you get occasional early access and occasional exclusive content. Rorem's all the decks. This is now with 6/8 Infinity Ultron. My logic here is pretty simple. This was the best Infinity Ultron deck. Now, Infinity Ultron has changed. Is um Infinity Ultron is 5/8. This deck is better. Mobius should probably be Captain Carter here now because Captain Carter and Moonstone is utterly insane. It's on curve and crazy strong. This deck is like 3 or 4 different decks at once, and it's super strong. You can find the creator of this list at twitch.tv/RoranPlays. We talked about him earlier. This deck needs Vicky Hand, Moonstone, Infinity Ultron, Luna, Frigga, and Ravonna. Those are your required cards. I know that's a lot. We might have a Ravonna free version. We're testing to find out right now. Sage can be Wolfsbane. Mobius is often Cassandra Nova, but it may now want to be Captain Carter. Zombies Go Nom Nom has a really good win rate, around 58% with this version of the list, which has been tested after the Infinity Ultron update. It is the other really good Infinity Ultron deck. I do think that these are really, really good and legit lists that are worth playing. I think that these are probably where Victoria Hand wants to be at this moment. Excuse me, get a little stuffy in here. Rorem's all the decks, card by card. Quinjet is here. Quinjet plus Moonstone is utterly, utterly, utterly fantastic for you. Um, you can go Quinjet plus whatchamacallit into Moonstone plus Carter into Moonstone if you get that in there. But Quinjet is going to make the Snowguard bird cheaper, the and the Infinity Stones cheaper, and whatever you copy with Frigga cheaper, and those are all phenomenal. If you can play Moonstone on it, 2 cheaper on those is great. Snowguard is very strong right now. It not only gives you 2 cards to play with, but those cards can be made cheaper with Quinjet. They're hit by Silver Surfer or Victoria Hand, and there's enough magic around to make the bird really good. Ravonna doesn't have a million targets, some of Infinity Ultron stones, along with Iron Man, and if you run Cassandra Nova and Sage. But having access to cheap stuff lets you pull off combos the opponent can't predict and gives you extra cubes. Moonstone on Ravonna is often a game changer. 1 cost Sage, 3 cost Iron Man, and then you can still do something else is wonderful. Victoria Hand buffs the Snowguard things, buffs the Frigga thing, and buffs the stones, and thus it is worth running. It buffs a little less than Surfer, but is 1 cheaper and can be played on curve. Sage is your endgame power play. It's really good. Surfer is your another endgame power play. It's really good. It also buffs the Infinity Ultron stones, which is nice. Mobius should again not be here. It should be Cassandra Nova, or it should be Captain Carter if you have access. If you don't have access, please feel free to run Mobius, but it should be one of those other cards. Frigga can copy kind of whatever you want here. You can copy Victoria Hand and really go to town buffing. You can copy Sage and have a bunch of extra power. If you get Iron Man cheap, you can end up copying an Iron Man that costs 3. If you get like Luna out in shenanigans, it's just like really, really good. Good card. Luna Snow lets you ramp into Iron Man or Infinity Ultron. Both of those sound pretty good to me, while also being a 3/6, which is really big stats. Moonstone is an amazing doubler for Quinjet, for Ravonna, for Victoria Hand, and if you listen to me, for Captain Carter. Iron Man is a way to go over the top in lanes, and then Infinity Ultron is here because it makes stones that are buffed by the 2 buff cards in the deck, Victoria Hand and Surfer, while also those stones might have extra synergy with Surfer. For example, the double on reveal, you can also end up pulling an important and good card from deck, which is real nice too. From hand, not deck. Turn 1, Quinjet over Snowguard. Turn 2, Victoria Frigga over Ravonna over Victoria otherwise. If you didn't draw Ravonna, obviously. Turn 3, Luna over Mobius or Frigga. And again, if you make that Captain Carter, be over Captain Carter or Frigga. Turn 4, Infinity Ultron over Moonstone on hand, Quinjet Ravonna, Carter. Over generate cards. Turn 5, stones, generators or discounts. And then turn 6, you dump everything you can and win. I think that this list is fairly legit. Give it a try. It should be around B tier. It should win a lot of games, while also once in a while just being sort of clunky. I don't know if you know this, but I write an article every weekday on Marvel Snap Zone. Come check out my articles on Marvel Snap Zone. We do a deck of the day there, and there will be a written version of this with all the deck links and stuff. Although the deck links are also in the description of the video. That will be up tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Next up, we got Derek's number 1. This was Derek didn't end up finishing number 1. He ended up finishing number 2 to Sizer, but he played this last season with no changes. This has popped up right at the top of the Infinite leaderboard, and I think this is a really, really serious sleeper deck. We saw very, very few, unless Thanos gets lucky, answers to magic, and the Thanos decks are sort of playing Reality Stone early to try and get Wiccan curves going. So you should be okay with magic for most of things, unless you run into an unlucky Snow Guard. So you can play magic and Luna. This is sort of a kitty double up deck. It ends up being extremely strong as such. You need Galactic, Hannibal, and Frigga for this list. Elsa or Luna can be Hope. You do need one of the two. Hydra Bob can be Nightcrawler. Kate, Iron Patriot, and Sam can be Jeff, Juggernaut, Shadow King, Cable, Mirage, Adam Warlock, Scarlet Witch. The Season Passler is another version of this. Season Passler has utterly disappeared, but it's still really cool. This is sort of like an older Season Passler because it's running Elsa instead of some of the other newer cards. All right, so our logic here is Kitty Pride buffing, right? We can buffer with Elsa, we can buffer with Galacta. If we can buffer enough, we can copy with Frigga, and then we have multiple big kitties to play around turn 7 with Iron Man and Cannonball, and then we should win. Hydra Bob is a nice extra card. It works really well with Elsa because you can fill a lane with Hydra Bob and Elsa, snap, and then you can replay more cards there. Really good stuff. Hawkeye gives you extra cards to play. Extra cards are extra good with Galacta. For example, if you play Luna on 3, often you're going to go Galacta plus 1 drop on 4, and that's really good because you can then Frigga that still and get a lot of extra value. Iron Patriot gives you a free card that could win you the game. That's usually good. Captain America is a 2/7, also again works really well with Elsa in terms of making sure that lane is filled and unfilled as necessary in order to get your buff. You do need an extra turn or extra energy or both, thus Luna and Magic. Elsa Bloodstone is a buff card. We're trying to buff Kitty, but we do have Hydra Bob and Sam Wilson in order to buff multiple things as well. Frigga, copy something buffed, please. Luna, 3/6, really good stats, plus extra energy. Galacta is the best buff card in the game. We want to hit Kitty, but we will hit a Kate slash Hydra Bob thing if we can Frigga those two, or an Iron Patriot thing if we can Frigga that. Iron Man is our ability to go over the top of even Strange Supreme nonsense. And then Cannonball is our way, excuse me, of winning the game fundamentally. Cannonball says, "Oh no, you thought you got too big and you filled your board. Well, I win. Or I've got one Iron Man lane that's uncontestable. Guess what? Cannonball, your card's there." This is a little lower sample, but it's one of the top 1 rate decks, so I can't put it higher than this, but I do think this is really good from my own experiences. Turn 1, Kitty over Bob. Turn 2, Sam over Iron Patriot over Kate. See, Iron Patriot is green. We've talked about that already. Luna over Elsa over Magic on turn 3. Turn 4, Galacta plus 1 if you can after Luna over 3 plus 1, and this is your Magic turn. Turn 5 is your last Magic. You can play Iron Man plus 1 or Frigga on Kitty, or another 1 drop. And then turn 6, Iron Man or Cannonball with Kitty. If you've got a 7th turn, go Iron Man first, Cannonball second usually. This is a really strong list. Very few people played it when I first featured it, and I think that's a mistake. Play it. Weekend mission decks. We're going to kick off weekend mission decks by talking about Captain Carter, who is now a 3/2. Ongoing. Add this card's power to your back row cards here. I think this is one of the very best cards in Marvel Snap. It being a 3 is absurd. It makes it work with Moonstone and Surfer, and that's absurdly huge. It is now easy to play after Galacta, and that's absurdly huge. I think that this is a must play card in what is ultimately a must play deck. I think you should buy it fundamentally immediately. Holy crap, is Captain Carter good right now? This is Ika's ongoing list. This list is the other hidden S tier list. We're also going to do a video breakdown of this tomorrow morning. This is going to be straight up tomorrow's lead deck. It is absurdly good. There's a card here to play with. It's the Mr. Fantastic slot. Outside of that, this puts up shit tons of power. The original creator of this list is Ika, twitch.tv/IkaMTS. This deck needs Goliath, Moonstone, Sam, and Ravonna. Carter can be anti-venom, but then you're going to add Luke for Cosmo. That is significantly worse. Carter could also probably be Super Skrull right now if you're seeing a lot of mirrors. Mr. Fantastic has become Iron Lad and butt played the list to an 85% win rate in about 30 games. That's absurd. Rorim then played this, replaced that Iron Lad with Super Skrull and absolutely crushed Face as well. If you'd like another good Captain Carter home for your weekend missions, this is Safety Blade's Flex Tape. This version was the best when the card was a 4 cost, and it is significantly better now that the card costs 3. Play it. It's lost 1 power for Sam and gained a ton of power for Captain Carter. This list is freaking legit as all get out right now. I think we can cut Zabu too now. All right, so Ika ongoing. Hello, friends. Ant-Man gets big. You can Ant-Man helps Goliath get big. It gets bigger from Captain Carter. It gets bigger when played behind Sorry, it gets bigger from Captain America. It's bigger behind Captain Carter. You can play Moonstone on it, and then Moonstone gets +4 when her location is full. All of these things are really good. It also takes the Spectrum buff. Goliath loves all the ongoing cards you play in this list. You know how many ongoing cards you play in this list? Every freaking card. Good. So that means if you're playing just, let's say you play one card a turn, Goliath is now a 2/6, right? Because turn one, not himself, turn two, turn three, turn four, turn five, turn six. Oh, wait, you've got Sam Shield 2/7. Ravonna is amazing just because cheap Mystique, cheap Iron Man are worth it. That's literally the reason she's here because I think we're cutting Mr. Fantastic, but still great. Getting her again with Moonstone is insane. Her into Carter into Moonstone is absurd. You've now got a stupidly cheap Iron Man and Mystique plus just like a plus a million power whatever you play behind them behind the Moonstone. Um, blah blah. Captain Captain America, Sam Wilson gives you an extra ongoing card that's on the board while being a 2/7, and that's pretty damn good. It takes the buff from Spectrum double. Mystique is here largely for Iron Man, but don't be afraid to copy Goliath or Captain America. Be saying all my ongoings get better is still pretty damn good. You can also copy Moonstone because there's so much good stuff to do with that. Although don't copy Moonstone in the and then play this Mystique into the Captain Carter lane because she actually has 0 power. Mr. Fantastic should be Iron Lad because you've got such amazing hits. You just want to hit him. You want to see like every other card. Mr. Fantastic's just not good enough. You can also run Super Scroll if once the mirrors take over, and the mirrors should take over for this one. After that, we've got Captain America, who buffs basically his whole board, which means he's a 3/9. Other card 3/5, 3/7, 3/9, right? Amazingly works with Captain Carter, works amazingly with Moonstone, works great with Sam Shield, and plenty of other things. Cosmo is your protection. You really want that in the Carter lane as a general rule, because otherwise they're going to try and disrupt that. Otherwise, you auto win. Um, Carter's freaking insane. You've got Moonstone and Captain America for this, and even if not, right, you're just perfect. And you've got Spectrum, and that's just 3 buffs for the damn card. That's a ton. Moonstone again has so many good targets here. Moonstone works with Ant-Man, Goliath, Ravonna, Mystique, Mr. Fantastic should be gone, Captain America, and Captain Carter. I told you she would be broken eventually. She now is. Iron Man is huge. If you've got Captain Carter in one lane with Moonstone, Iron Man another, you can copy Iron Man with Mystique in yet a third. Just stupid power. And then, of course, Spectrum buffs the whole damn deck, the whole board. So enjoy your. Again, let's say you're playing one card, a card on one, a card on two, a card on three, a card on core, a card on five. Sam Shield, that is plus 12 power. You've just played a 6/19. This is back. Ant-Man, Sam over Ravonna over Goliath. Turn 3, Cap if Sam, Ravonna if Moonstone, Carter, Fantastic, and Cosmo are fine. I think Carter is now actually the main play. Turn 4, Moonstone on Ravonna or Carter, or if you have a Mystique in hand, and that's when you're snapping. Over earlier plays, might be a snap on Carter now. Again, early results are in and they're insane. Turn 5, Iron Man or 3/2. Especially if you've got Moonstone or Ravonna, you can now hold your Iron Man because he will cost 3, Mystique will cost 1. You can play both of them with like a Goliath on the last turn. Enjoy. Turn 6, Mystique plus Cosmo, Fantastic Goliath, or Spectrum. Enjoy your wins. This is S tier. Carter is busted. Strange Supreme is also great. Uh, I'm going to go over very quickly why Strange Supreme is great. He gains +2 power for merging. End of turn, merge one of your created cards into this. If you play him on 2 and he can eat something every turn, he's a 2/12. If you play him on 3, he's a 2/10. If you play him on 2 and he can't eat on 2, but he can eat on 3, he's a 2/10. 2/10 is a lot. We spent a long time with Sam Wilson being a 2/8 with synergies and talking about how strong that was. Strange Supreme works the same way. What he does is gives you a bunch of extra real estate to work with without spending a ton of extra energy. Because he eats those extra cards, he creates quite a threatening lane on his own, and then your opponent has to decide whether they're going to compete there or not. All around, this makes him a top-notch card. 2-cost scalers are basically some of the best things to do in Marvel Snap, and Strange Supreme is a premier 2-cost scaler, being a scaler that gets not quite as big a scream, but bigger than Sam Wilson, while also creating numerous decks and going in several top-tier decks. Because I don't want to just share the Thanos deck, I think this is around an A. This is a low A, high B tier deck. I'm not sure which of the two until I get some more practice, but this is Unhelpful Yoda's deck. It is very good. I think it's probably going to need a freaking answer for Stupid Carter now, which means I'm going to have to find space for Red Guardian, which royally sucks because this deck is tight as hell. This puts out 10 million freaking points. It is genuinely stellar, top-notch power. I covered this in detail yesterday, so we're going to go really quickly because this video is already getting real long. The creator of this deck is Unhelpful Yoda. This needs Strange, Mockingbird, Sasquatch, Gwenpool, and Marvel Boy. Sam, Kate, and Nico can be Mirage, Iron Patriot, Shadow King, and Sinister. Chamo has a version of the Cook, because this is an alternate version of the Cook, that doesn't run Strange if you don't have him and you would like to play it. See? Yoda. Good stuff. Again, I'm not going to break this down in super huge detail. Strange has an auto eat as soon as he's played on the board with Sam. Don't be afraid to get the +2 buff from Sam, then play Strange, and he'll get that buff from the shield. And if you've played like a Squirrel Girl, maybe you get a second buff on Sam in the process, which makes more than makes up for the difference. Nico is really good. You can get copy on some powerful cards, although Strange can just eat them. Um, you can destroy to draw and see some important cards, all that kind of good stuff for this list. Turn a cheap card into a demon, which is really nice. Squirrel Girl is great for Strange Supreme. It's also great for Marvel Boy. Marvel Boy turns that into a 113 or himself into a 313 or 413, as the case may be. You figure out how you want to count that. Strange Supreme we've discussed. Kate Bishop gives you some created cards, including the ability to clog the opponent. Sam is a nice easy eat for Strange, while also potentially being a scaler himself. He may be on the chopping block now that he's a 2-2. We shall see. Mysterio is super annoying to Strange because he doesn't know what the real Mysterio is, so he eats everything. However, Mysterio gives you super access to a Mockingbird and Sasquatch last turn, which is explosive and is insane when hit by Gwenpool. Marvel Boy works insanely well with Squirrel Girl and Shauna because these are permanent buffs. Strange Supreme will eat them and keep them, and if you keep them on the board, well, you just buffed 3 cards. Cosmo protects your Strange Supreme and disrupts opponents. Shauna is your other big get a bunch of cards, get a super cheap Mockingbird card. She's very good, especially if you have Strange Supreme. Be very careful with Squirrel Girl, Mysterio, and Shauna if you don't have Strange, though. Gwenpool is meant to hit Mysterio, but anything it hits makes unpredictable power in your hand, which is great. And then Mockingbird and Sasquatch are this incredibly powerful last turn play. Mockingbird has some anti-synergy with Strange Supreme, but you have enough generation. Literally, Squirrel Girl, Hawkeye, Cap, Mysterio, Shauna, 5 different generation cards that you and uh, most of them, Squirrel Girl, Kate, Mysterio, and Shauna all make at least 2 strange targets. You should be okay with Mockingbird. You play those with Sasquatch, you played a 19 at least power last turn. On top of all the rest of the power, you win the game. This is the stats from yesterday. Turn 1 is Pass, but Squirrel if Marvel Boy. Turn 2 Strange over Sam over Kate, which is more or less equal to Mysterio if Sasquatch. You will also play Squirrel Girl if you just drew your Marvel Boy. Marvel Boy if Squirrel, Sasquatch if Mysterio, Cosmo or Shauna if Strange. You can also play Shauna or Marvel Boy if you have a Marvel Boy on 4 and no Gwenpool. Turn 4, Gwenpool is better than earlier plays. Turn 5, Mysterio or all of Kate's arrows. Basically, a lot of cards is your goal. And then turn 6, Sassy Mock win. Props to Yoda. I know I went through that quickly. Sorry, I covered this literally yesterday. So you can check that out if you want a slower breakdown. My wife has a wonderful online store. It is called The Crystal Bee. You can find her at The Crystal Bee 21 on Instagram. If you're interested in buying some handcrafted jewelry, she's got amazing tiaras and some really cool stuff. Go check it out. Pretty please if you're at all interested. No hand strange. No hand strange. We covered this one on Tuesday. On Wednesday. This is Binks's list. I think outside of Infinity Ultron list, Strange Supreme has basically taken Victoria Hand's real estate in most decks. Although it's possible that the Carter Moonstone stuff push things back in the other direction. For now, this is where I land, at least for the day. This list felt incredibly good and incredibly consistent. You can find the creator of this list at twitch.tv/BinksPlays. This deck needs Strange and Galacta. Kahori can be Gwenpool, worse, but fine. Red Guardian can be Rogue. I think Debris should probably end up being Rhino in this. And Iron Patriot, Sam, and Kate can be Valentina, Mirage, and Maria Hill, other generators. So, again, we covered this 2 days ago. Snowguard fills your hand for Kahori, gives you a way to get rid of bad locations, particularly Limbo, and is also very good because Snowguard can then eat those cards. You have 3/4s, therefore Zabu. That's basically the entire logic. If you run 3/4s, you usually run Zabu. This runs the 3/4s, therefore Zabu is in it. Strain Supreme eats some shit. You've got a million things to eat in this list. It's really good. Kate, we've discussed, is very good for eating things. It's also really good with Galacta, gives you a nice cheap card for Galacta, and keeps your hand filled for Kahori. Iron Patriot gives you a potential game and lane winning card. Sam Wilson gives you some food for Strange Supreme while also being its own scaler when you don't see Strange. Cosmos protection for whatever you need protection from. Debris, should it be debris, offers you Clog if your opponents aren't running Strange. If everyone's going to go run Captain Carter, then maybe the Clog versions do come back. We shall see. Red Guardian answers opposing Stranges and Clog. Captain Marvel says, oops, it didn't matter if I picked the wrong location to win because it's usually a 4-8 because of Galacta or something like a 4-6-7 because of Kahori, and then you can win games even when you pick the wrong locations. Galacta is scaling, Kahori is scaling because you're running a lot of small stuff outside of Strange Supreme. This one was created by Binks and is awesome. Binks cooked. You can find, turn 1 Zabu over Snowguard unless you're drawing on 2. You can just skip if you're going to draw on 2. Turn 2 Strange over Sam over Iron Patriot over Kate. Strange is a nice easy snap. Iron Patriot is very good, and Iron Patriot is good and snap when you win. Kate is fine again if you're just trying to fill your hand if you didn't play Snowguard. Turn 3, if you can play Galacta, you're great. If you played either Iron Patriot or Kate, you can now play Kahori on 3. Debris is fine over 2. Cosmo and Strange if Red Guardian is a threat. Also, if you play Debris and you have a stone in that lane and they're going to play Red Guardian on curve, the stone will eat. Well, even if that stone ends up eaten, the Red Guardian will hit the stone first as long as you get Prime. Turn 4, Galactus still snap over Kahori, which is equal to a 2/2 last Iron Patriot over Captain Marvel. Turn 5 is either generate stuff to eat, play Marvel or Cosmo. If I played Galacta, I really like going like Snowguard and Kahori here, if you can figure out how to do that. And then turn 6 is the same basic stuff as 5. You play your big stuff and you win. Binks absolutely cooked. I love this list. Give it a try. We're on to our questions of the day, in which in this particular video is not questions, it is the honorable mentions. We always have 5. The first of which is Coach's Master Bullseye. This one still has a 58% win rate, which is lower than most of the things on the list, but it's a very popular, well-known list that is still really good. It's possible that as the meta moves on, this gets better because people are doing less that actually messes with it. In addition, we have Crazy's Conchu. This is again, Gambit seems really good right now, but this one isn't running the Grandmaster version, instead it's running Conchu. If this one can get tall enough, it's still going to be tier 1. It's still got a very high, A tier. It's still got a very high win rate. I'm not convinced this does enough against the sort of like recent power spike of the meta though. BBAK is negative. Is the sleeper. No one's playing it right now, but like no one's countering it either, right? And if no one's countering negative and you can run this exact version with Super Scroll, you should be farming the shit out of everything because you're going to go bigger than absolutely everything and no one's doing anything that actually bothers or affects you. Sauron 10's list, I'm just not convinced it's big enough again right now. It's possible it is, and Enchantress is really good, and I might feel stupid for cutting this from the list. Um, but I think Shang-Chi is sort of a lot around right now, and that can be really frustrating for this. And finally, we have Devinter Clog. So if everyone's playing Strange Supreme, this is a really bad list, right? This was one of the best lists last week. Probably pushing up on S tier. But if people are playing Strange Supreme, it's really, really hard to run this, even though Shadow King makes it a little easier. Strange Supreme goes down a little bit in popularity, just a little bit in popularity, and that's taken by and that real estate is taken over by some ongoing stuff. This is going to pop right back, and that's going to be tier 1, maybe even S. Certain tiers of support on our Patreon come with on-air thanks. Let's say thank you relatively quickly because this is a long one. Nick, our patron of the month. Abigail Giesland, Mansour Burnett, Irregardless, LAB, Inc., Iron Frostman, Hota Nevedete, Thinking Poker, Prime, Brian, Ryan Burke, Ryan Wood, Heretics Lee, Corey, Kazushi, Archangel 3K, Black Dahlia, Perforce, the Ghost Seeker Code, that's our Alliance Leader section, Hollowed, Only Fox, Synth, Absolute Shannon, Nightmare, Dirty Casual, Mr. Kerfuffle, Cables, Ginger Prime, Philip Rakovich, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, The Biz, Black Jeebus 23, Extras V, and Skippy G, Jessica Gamble, Sup, Jess, Mr. Slush Death, The King of Bros, Bro, The Great Kazoo, Werewolf, Kepsi Hoda, Lunar Chris, Clam, Colonel Forbin, Bricks to Click, Rob Subman, M. Holland, David G. Wingfield, Stephen, Brian Kaufman, Justin H. Martin, Jason B., Mr. Craig Sterry, and special guest Matt V, Ren Wrench, Corman Junk and Jimmy McHugh, Cute Down, You Stout 8 Sage, One Big Man, Mythman for Reals, Cactus Jack Reapsa, BG, Quid Pro Joe, Snap Decisions Joe, D. Carlo, Models Monterey, Boom Gidda Boom Bot, Green Goblin, Unity Unibot, Flan 56, Lee Fizz Spectrum X Hoot, Ocularis, Matt H, DJ Mike Agix, Don't Forget Like Snake, The Creaky Snake, Toxic Soul King, Zodrix, the King of Canada, Deadman Falcon, Father Newman, Jonesy, Two Tides, the Grim Learners, the Parking Tucker, and of course, Gunny T. The T stands for This Was Long, but I will see you tomorrow for this super monster stream, some great decks, and much, much more. Peace.